Hey, cute dog. What's her name?
Lila. Good morning, Kajsa.
Hello. Maya.
You out somewhere nice?
A little thing at the office. Some kind of award.
That sounds great. Congrats.
Thanks.
What about...
And how are you? I see you walking the dog.
Indeed, she's feeling unwell.
What is the illness now?
I don't know. We're going to the vet, Liv.
Why isn't she barking now?
What? I don't know. Exhausted, I guess.
You coming or what?
Look, don't mind her. Some people just bark. Look, don't mind her. Some people just bark louder than dogs without even realizing it.
Hello, Ignė.
Hey,
It's a pleasure to have you on the conversation series. Amazing.
nice to be here in this beautiful space.
How have you been today?
Great, I love Mondays because I have quite a bunch of days between the last work day and the first work day of the next week. So 3 days is usually enough to miss the work. I really am grateful for this set of life. And yeah, I've been good. I worked, I danced, I'm here. So it's quite a diverse day, which I always appreciate.
Amazing. Tell me a bit about dancing as a way to express yourself.
I mean, I think everyone should dance. Cannot force everyone, but yeah, one of the missions indirectly by dancing is also inspiring people that it's possible to dance at any age. And I do breakdance for many years, but I never did it like professionally or very intense. But the past years, I decided that why not? I could really push a bit harder. Nobody forces me, but why not? And maybe it drives me because it's not standard for like breakdance is a niche dance for women. It's not super popular, and usually people think it's like a teenage thing. When you are super powerful, you do, and then later 30 plus, you just quit all this stuff and you do, I don't know, maximum what you do is maybe yoga, some gym, and that's it. And dance has way more.
It's amazing. And I think it's also a way to connect to your younger self, right?
Absolutely. I've been reflecting exactly this, that I like myself when I even see myself in a video when I dance, or when I see myself in the mirror. When I dance and don't see myself, I still enjoy because I feel alive and I feel like a teenager in a way and a kid as well. But instead of feeling ridiculous, I realize that it's such a nice gift that what we have inside, and we are all kinds of sub-personalities, and so on, we can actually express that through creativity and have also a bunch of friends that do the same.
Expressing all of the emotions, because I feel like oftentimes these more dense emotions come up and it's hard to express them in the social settings, but through dance I think you can even like help to drop some of that weight.
Especially in street dance, we take, like, the idea is that you become some sort of a character. You don't act, but you become, and you can really express anything you have inside through like not violent communication, because through movement you can give so much energy and power. It releases a lot of everything, a lot of stress, and get joy. It's, you know, all this game of hormones that also happens, and exactly, you release certain emotions, but you also charge yourself with certain others, and it's hard to start dancing super happy and end your set super angry, you know. Usually it's the vice versa.
Yeah, tell me about the power of community, because you also are one of the organizers of Vilnelės Punkai, and what has community provided for you in life?
As a surprise, just by starting doing the cold dipping experience in the nature and just inviting people to join, I realized that I don't need to be with people that are just like me. We can just share one ritual, and that is enough to build a community by sharing the moment regularly. That is maybe not very easy, as going to cold water together really connects people, and we don't even need to know our professions. We can just be together, and it fulfills with a sense of connection.
And even finding one thing that unites us instead of focusing on all of the opinions or subjects which tend to divide.
Going to cold water, it's the connection with the community. Then you realize you connect with your body, you connect with the nature. So it becomes philosophical, but not from the theoretical point of view, but from very practical point of view. And exactly there is nothing to say. Like, we know the protocol, how to do it, and then we just do it. And then things happen out of the simplicity of it. But yeah, most probably it is so powerful because it is very physical, and I never realized how, and we don't even like touch, we just hold hands, which is also maybe very powerful. I never thought about it
So
that
powerful,
way.
yeah.
But otherwise we do not, like, I don't know, hug too much or anything, but somehow we kind of feel hugged by everything in that situation, and it's the magic of those moments.
People go through all sorts of stuff, and just to have a hug in the morning, it's so much love and compassion for each other, even if you don't fully know what the other person is going through.
I think subconsciously we know that we are all here because of something that we kind of do not need to do, you know. But but the idea is that we still come here because we feel the need for our health, maybe. But I think that hug is some sort of expression of maybe appreciation and thankfulness to those other people who also came here all this ways. And yeah, maybe this hug is some sort of reminder to each other subconsciously that, yeah, I'm thankful that you're here, because you don't have to be here. We could skip all this, but by not skipping, by being here, we give so much to each other. So yeah, let's give a hug, you know.
I feel like by going into cold water, you also give back to nature, because you individually, but also as a collective, you form this bond. Could you tell a bit about your experience bonding deeper and deeper with nature? How was the process for you? Did you have like maybe a chapter where you had the disconnect?
Yes, I had a long chapter where I had disconnected on a daily basis, but I knew that I need it. I just didn't find forms with my urban life to do something with it, and I'm a doer, you know. So all the theories about going out and just enjoying, I was like, I didn't even like to walk like longer distances than just 500 meters or something. Like, yeah, you know, let's go, let's do, you know, do act, create something like that. But now that I think I grew up a lot in the nature, and it was some sort of my safe space for 10 years at least of my life, first 10 years. And then I got so disattached because there was no theory, and our lifestyle was very urban with my family, and we kind of theoretically loved trees and everything, but not on a daily basis we experienced that. And that detachment was longing for it, for actual home, but I never realized that it is actually the longing for being outdoors in the nature. And yeah, when I discovered it was, oh, now I know, I feel like back in the day when I was spending so much time in the countryside, in the village, in the fields, I was running in the open air, I was breathing deeply, you know. So yeah, it is definitely a gift to come back. And for my kids, for example, I really want them to never get detached, or at least know that when something is off, it's enough to come to this place. I come to this place with my kids very often in the morning, like several times a week. And my mom said, but you know that when they will have a hard time, they will come back here. They will know where to find peace. And I'm like, okay. So that knowledge, I want them to remember, you know.
And also the kids then remind you as a mirror in this relationship, I feel like, because they have such a intuitive sense.
If we have a luxury with our kids to not make them take further from all this innate origin, we can learn so much from them, because they really do have bigger intuition, deeper intuition. They subconsciously know where it's nicer for them. They want to go outside. Like there's just like maybe in elder years, kids don't want to go outside because they are more attracted by devices, for example. But naturally, if we really let them do, they will go outside. They will spend like hours. They will spend time in cold water with like, shaking and being all blue, but still they love
For
it,
sure.
And what we do, we tend to like be, afraid of all this. So we can really, by observing kids, see how open they are to nature, to circumstances that we consider not comfortable anymore, just because they don't have prejudice and they haven't forgotten in a way.
Could you tell a bit about how to cultivate this inner sense of being at peace, at harmony with oneself?
We can wait till the society will be forced to change, or we can start doing some tiny changes in our everyday life. And the question how to do that is, it's I think a huge question of our times, and there are a lot of intelligent people and spiritual people who suggest all kinds of things, but I would maybe stick to a very, very simple idea of gratitude and appreciation of what we already have. And by practicing it in very tiny moments, it is already a very powerful tool to actually stop thinking about where to get more, but actually trying to at least notice what we have already. And yeah, gratitude will come with time. It's not easy to pursue gratitude emotion if you don't practice, but they say that the daily gratitude ritual, maybe a sentence or a moment of appreciation of things that are there by default, is a very powerful thing. So for me, yes, grateful for all the people I have, those that were given to me, that I was sent to in a way, and sometimes those that I chose, so thanks to myself that I do, but also to the nature, because no matter if you are a good person or bad person, the nature won't judge you. And this is what the psychologists say, why we feel so calm in a forest is because we finally do not have to show off and to prove that we are worthy, because you can be the biggest sinner on earth and it will be there the way it is for you still. The biggest gift is to feel that there's always someone or somebody is, entity that will love you no matter what. And for me, nature is the closest form of divine in my life that I feel, that I can reach every day with no efforts almost, and actually feel that I can be myself here. The birds will chirp, the sun will be there or rain, no matter, but I don't have to earn it. And I think this is powerful, and I really invite everyone to go out and just for 5 minutes a day, please notice it,
It's an opportunity to step out of the performance and roles of our society, and those roles can be empowering, but at the same time they limit your true expression and your ability to relate.
I would say it's a game. You can play it, you don't have to. You can, it's fun. But do you have to? Most probably not. You can take another game, play a calmer game. And yeah, we are kind of given, we took the idea, we bought the idea that we need to play that game, and without that game we are nothing and whatever. But if we at least stop and see from outside and try to just ask ourselves, and okay, and what if I don't play that game? What's then? What is the ultimate result or bad tragedy that would happen if I don't play certain games? And usually it's nothing, it's just the illusion of something bad happening. Usually it's just maybe sometimes even freedom. People get freed when they say, like, if I don't play this game, I'm free. Oh my God, I can choose another role.
That's how intuition shows up. Once you finish playing other people's games or society's games, then you finally start to sense into your path without trying to analyze it or structure it according to some vision. You start to feel into it, right?
Yeah, now I just spoke yesterday with a friend of mine about intuition, and she said, you know what? I finally feel my intuition really there, active, and I'm afraid to watch videos, to listen to podcasts. She's like trying to, kind of protect that finally discovered intuition in her. And it was so cute to hear that, because I then remembered some of the lecture of Kristupas Sabolius. He was giving a lecture on visionary thinking and creativity, and that in certain societies or tribes rather, they would understand which kid is likely to become a shaman or somebody who feels and knows more, and they would train that kid extra by isolating him from the outside noise, even from the light and visual information, so that he can further nurture the innate ability of intuition. So far, it's quite drastical. So this is not a solution for us, but it kind of shows the idea of the noise that we surround ourselves, and that it's proportionally related to the lack of connection with certain sources of information that come from within. And actually they say connect to, I know, even quantum field. There are theories, and quite legit ones, about that we are capable to connect to way more than we see and hear with our senses by going into silence. And that silence can happen in different ways and different levels. We don't maybe need to all become shamans and go into silence for, I don't know, weeks, but at least reducing that really artificial noise around us that our urban lives brought us to, switching off one source of noise in the evening, trying to hear to, I don't know, natural noises and sounds could already bring us back through silence to the actual voices from within. And that voice is nothing super shamanic. It is basically the information we hold from our DNA, from our ancestors, from our childhood sometimes that we forgot, through our discoveries in our sandbox that we discovered so much. Do you remember how much aware you were when you were a kid for certain things? We never go into such detailed awareness nowadays because of so much more.
I feel like this voice is oftentimes so simple, it eludes us. We tend to think in very complicated concepts about ourselves and have big dreams and plans, but this voice just invites to be present and see what this moment can teach. Just maybe it's a very simple lesson of gratitude or noticing what one feels, but the simple message can sometimes work wonders when there's so much complicated information and world events, etc.
Back in the day, I would read those, quotes of a famous philosopher, and I'm like so obvious, those quotes, because I hadn't yet the experience that would bring me through realization of the same notion. And later in years, I would take a quote, I'm like, brilliant, exactly, So certain things are very simple, but without feeling them, living them, our brain starts to overcomplicate things and this and that and this and that, and we forget that it's way simpler in a way. But of course, on the other hand, now I'm thinking if I take a person who doesn't have experience of life and doesn't have moral set of, not rules, but principles in his or her life, and just starts listening to, and I would say listen to your inner voice, it would be most probably some traumatic voices from the experience. So it is not that, it is simple, but it's not that straightforward, how we actually go towards that. And therefore I always say nature, because you cannot get mistaken by, the tree is there, you can take it, touch it, you can feel it, and you can, you don't need to get lost into the universe by somewhere in the ideas. It's like a metaphor with the tree. You can stick to very simple things and ideas that are here, that are known through history of human beings, that they work.
I feel like that's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Is you can have so much knowledge from books or podcasts, all of the sorts of communication methods, but if you don't have the felt experience of that higher understanding, it's only knowledge, it's only additional things to store in your brain, and you cannot fully integrate it into your being.
If you don't have the essential idea of where you're heading towards in this world and this planet, not just as a human being that wants to prove the value, but actually a quality human being that is quality not because of the statuses, but quality because of tiny everyday steps. I think this perspective could help our education system, our all kinds of medical system to bring or invite people towards life that is way more qualified and way more quality and actually also happier.
Yeah, and just joyful, right?
Yes,
And
exactly.
the point is just to have fun at this experience. It's about thriving, not survival. This is like an old program which has still very strong effects on society.
Completely. And yeah, I listened to some intelligent people that I admire, and one idea was that actually the true call of humans, or might be, it doesn't necessarily need to be, not hustling from the morning till the evening and then going to bed and, you know, the popular work by die, but actually to sit and share the ideas, to analyze the humanity, to think of greater goals, but the ones that are motivated not by currencies and money and I don't know more of the things and material things, but by I don't know common joy, other values that could benefit, that we could all benefit from, and that actually picking berries in the forest from in the morning with your kids instead of going to work and then bringing your kids to some institution because you need to be separate because otherwise you are out of the system and whatever, could have an alternative, because we have reached such times that where we could really benefit from all the resources we have. As I said, we're rich people and very developed, very technologically advanced, and still we didn't have yet a formula to make our lives, everyday lives, quality. And this is very surprising. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, all these, you know, big ideas of progress, they are about, like, they're bullshit, you know, in a way.
Yeah, it's technological progress or innovation, but not actual consciousness evolving concepts. It's more about material well-being. I'm actually very curious about what you mentioned. How can a young person get clarity? Is it like a higher vision of this self that wants to evolve and progress, or just the wounded child which wants to be heard and seen and screams through fear to listen to their voice?
If I was, you know, to rule the world and everyone's lives, I would say let's all go volunteer, let's live in big families, let's sit around the fire, let's plant trees, let's plant tomato, whatever, just plant something, and it will answer all your questions. But as a young person, how do you know this is the formula that's such an intelligent formula? So it's a good question, because we lack this in from our parents, in education. It's also complex. Therefore, I again step back to taking example from the nature, but it is also too abstract. So how do you go to the forest and look at the tree standing there? You need to have also this affinity towards the nature. So it's not that easy. But sometimes what I get inspired by is I used to study anthropology a bit, and I was fascinated how we were introduced to tribes, you know. And then it turns out in other further books that I read that those tribes were healthier and they lived longer and they were strong. And I'm like, what did they do different from what we have now here? So the first signals of questioning myself came from information about the world, how it used to be from very traditional societies from the past that lived closer to nature. That was maybe my first theoretical inspiration, and then it combined together with my own experience when I actually went to the water and dipped in it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so powerful. I feel myself, and it answers so many questions, because every day that I go to cold water, I'm actually a very happy person. What happens in my body biologically? What is the biochemistry that changed? Why do I feel so inspired today and I want to do that tomorrow? Maybe I'm addict, but somehow it works for me well. And then, I realized that this very simple ritual, and there are other ways to go back to your body and feel it and everything, actually brought me back to understanding how little I, as a person, need to make my day joyful. And I think from a joyful day, a lot of answers can come from. So maybe books are not so needed, and the theoretical approach to nature is also too abstract. But like, if you realize that you can be joyful for a day, and that day can repeat tomorrow and the day after, and you start observing what makes you joyful, I think that could be a very interesting answer. It could be different for everyone, but most probably, most of the people will reduce their answer to very, very simple things. Nurture your body, somehow nurture your soul, connect to other people. And these are not expensive things that we could fulfill our lives with, or try to pursue and see if those lead to further understanding of how to actually live life and how to find answers, what to be, how to act.
Amazing answer. I mean, so much to note and actually apply in the daily life. For the first episode of Felt Experience, that's actually the name of the series, because I feel like, as we touched upon, through really living your sensations, the truth can be experienced fully. What would be the message that you want to share with a young person who is listening, or maybe an older person? Just a thought or maybe a question that you want to leave the audience with.
I had a very nice task once. I went through some meditation challenge with some tasks, and one that stuck to me was to write down things that are a luxury to me, and that on an everyday basis. What are the luxurious experiences every day that make my life nice, that I'm joyful because of? And I remember I wrote down like things, and I realized how simple they are, and that if I hadn't written them down like consciously, I would say that I need, I don't know, some like good car and a comfortable house and whatever, nice clothes and but what I wrote down was like, a beautiful view through the window, coffee with my beloved ones, a dip, then hug, maybe some massage. This is more expensive. But my message is that if we get a bit more aware of our tiny things in life that actually brought us to smile, and we would put more respect to those things, we would find answers about the world. And this is maybe similar to my previous answer, but it's so simple at the end of the day. And I think it brings to both the intuitive thinking and both to the values that actually, if you're conscious about, you won't lose them anymore. And if you have those values, be them moral or values that are very personal to you, things that you appreciate, and you really are truthful to not lose them and actually dedicate time to them instead of dedicating time to those, games that somebody asked you to play or those ideas that somebody convinced you of, then you would be actually most probably not losing the path.
Wow, Ignė, thank you so much for the response. And honestly, with this conversation, the audience can really feel it and feel your connection to this wonderful place as well. So
welcome everyone. It doesn't cost nothing to be here.
Yeah, just get back to nature in a very positive way, not being forced upon, but just...
And not too serious.
Yeah, just play.
Yeah.
Just play, and we'll
Smile.
catch you
Be
in
loud
the forest.
even.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.